Hey everyone, it's Microwave Sam. So in this tutorial, I've been meaning to do this one. It's about Amazon Web Services and how to create a new EC2 instance, which is basically a virtual machine in which you will host a web server on it. Now, there's not too many tutorials about this, and Amazon Web Services constantly updates, so I'll run through how to set up a new virtual machine on an EC2 instance and a web server on that virtual machine. So first things first is you go to the Amazon Web Services website, which is over here. I'll leave a link in the description, aws.amazon.com. And afterwards, you want to sign up because, of course, if you don't have an account already, you need to sign up. Now for signing up, I'll just show it to you very quickly. Sign in or create a new account. You just have to, I am a new user. So when you're a new user, you have to import your email. And now with an Amazon Web Services account, you have to have a credit card in which you connect your account with that credit card because it's required. Since Amazon Web Services, if you reach to a certain bandwidth data amount, then they will charge you, like any type of service like this. So for now, I'll just log into my account. So if you don't have an account already, sign up and follow the steps. Put in your credit card, your debit, and complete the registration. Now for people who already have an account, you can go to My Account, then AWS Management Console. Now you'll enter your email and your password. I'll just do that really quickly. And after you enter your email and password, we want to create an EC2 instance over here, which is virtual servers in the cloud. We'll click that. And now try the new console. We recently added new changes. So of course AWS changes constantly. They keep on updating, making it better and more efficient. So for now, I'll just X out of this and pick the region that you're closest to, and I'll pick US East because I live in the east side of the United States. Now for instances, well, first of all, you want to go to instances over here. It's underneath instances. Click this one. So I'll click instances, and you can see all the instances I have running at the moment. And now what you want to do is you want to launch a new instance. So you just click this blue button, launch instance. And you want to select the Amazon machine image. Now, Amazon provides its own Linux distribution. There's a Red Hat distribution, SUSE, and Ubuntu. And these are, well, what you look at first are these free tier. You can see that free tier eligible. I normally do just free tier eligible because I don't have anything very extensive that I need to run on. But if you're running a very extensive website with a lot of users, I would suggest using one of the premium versions or the actual tier versions. So we'll just pick, for my preference, although you can use Amazon's own Linux distribution or Red Hat, I sometimes use Red Hat or Ubuntu, but I'm more comfortable with Ubuntu. And they provide two versions, the 12.04, well, 0.04 version and the 13.10 version of Ubuntu. And I like to run an Ubuntu server 13.10. And you can also pick 64-bit, 32-bit. I'll just leave it 64-bit for now. And you select. Now you can customize the micro instances. You'll see some information. Micro instances, the low-cost instance, providing a small amount of CPU resources. Now I usually just leave this default. If you're not doing anything extensive, the network performance and this micro instance should be good enough. But like I said, if you're running something more complicated and with a lot of users daily, then you would require a better tier. So you can just go down here and next configure instance details, and the number of instances. I want to launch one. The network's fine. You can leave these default, public IP, leave that checked. Advanced details, Now, these default settings are fine for our usage. So you can go to next, add storage, and then for the type, it's a root device and has a snapshot. The size will be by default 8 GB and volume type will be standard. Delete on termination. This means that if you delete it, it will delete everything for good. It'll be gone forever. And so we will go to next tag instance. Now you can a tag. You can add a tag basically. I'm not sure if you understand what a tag is, but if you're making an Amazon EC2 instance, then you should have some relative experience with that. You can leave it as default. You don't need to set it with anything. But you click next to configure the security group, step 6. And for the security group, you can create a new security group or select an existing security group. Now, we'll create a new security group, and we'll call it just test. Let's just call it test. Yeah, test is good. And for description, I'll just say that test EC2 instance for tutorial. Now, for the types of security groups that you want, of course, I like to have SSH because we're going to be doing some things by SSHing into the web server, well, into the virtual machine. And I like to add another rule, which is for HTTP. I'm assuming that you need this virtual machine for a website, so that's why we need a web server. We'll go through PHP, MySQL installation, the bare minimum essentials to having a nice, good web server for your virtual machine. And these are realistically the only two security groups that you need for now. And then finally, you can review and launch. Improve your instance, your security group test is open to the whole world. For now, this is good enough. We'll just launch this instance. And now you can create a new key pair. Key pair, of course, is the type of key so that you can SSH or mess around with the virtual machine. So we'll create a new key pair for this tutorial, and we'll name the key pair test. I guess I'll just name it tutorial. That's good enough. So you can only download the key pair once. That's how Amazon AWS works. If you actually, interesting. I might have already okay. I'll call it something else because apparently I already have a key pair named tutorial and I just forgot. So I'll name it test capital tutorial. And now you download the key pair. It's gonna save my downloads. The key pair is essential. Make sure you don't lose it, honestly. If you launch the instance and you lose the key pair, then probably you won't be able to get back on the virtual machine. So you'll have to terminate the virtual machine, and then it's just bad. It's bad. So you'll launch the instance, and now instance is now launching. Following instance has initiated. View launch log. So you can go and see that the instance is pending. It's initializing. This should only take about a couple minutes for your new instance to launch. Now I'm just gonna go to downloads, and where is my key pair that I just made? Test tutorial. I'll just copy it to my desktop. Okay, it's right here. I'll copy it. Oh, actually, I'll cut it and then paste it onto my desktop. I normally like to keep all my keys in a fairly rememberable place, so for now I'll leave it on the desktop to show the example. Now on Windows, always SSHing into a virtual machine is a little bit harder than Linux or Mac, but there are different programs that allow you to do this. For my preference, it's Cygwin or Cygwin. Cygwin, I think it's called. And some people like to use Putty. Putty is a very popular way to SSHing into servers. And also, there's another program called Mobile Xterm. That's also free, and all these 3 programs are free. I have a tutorial about Cygwin if you want to look at that, so you can know how to have Unix commands on Windows easily. But now that's status check still initializing. For now, I'll open up Cygwin, the terminal. Actually, no, I forgot. I connected Cygwin with my command prompt, so I should be able to use my command prompt for this case. So I'll go to desktop, and I have test tutorial. Now, actually, I'll make a new. Now, okay, so I'll just make a new directory called keys, and then move my test tutorial into my keys folder. Okay, so that should be good. Now I'll, oh, oops, yeah, it's called keys, yeah. Then I'll clear this. Oh, I guessed it, that doesn't exist. So, test tutorial. Okay, so now that I have test tutorial in my keys folder, let's see if initialize, refresh the page on the Amazon EC2 instance. It's still initializing. Let's just see if our permissions are correct for that test tutorial file. rwxr. Okay, so what you have to do is you only want the key to be readable by you. So you need to use a command called chmod, which changes permissions. In chmod 400 test tutorial, basically what we're doing is chmod changes permissions. 400 is the code for making it only readable by us. Let's see. If let's see, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2. I think it's readable and writable by us, if I remember correctly. And by other users, other users can't do anything, and groups cannot do anything. So it's readable and writable by us. Now our instance seems to be done, as you can see. When it says running, status checks 2 out of 2, it should be ready to go. And I'll just chmod my key so that we can SSH into the virtual machine. So for now, let's do SSH-I test tutorial.pem. And now you want to connect into, let's see, the public IP or public DNS. It doesn't matter which, I guess. So we will use, I guess, the public IP for now of test tutorial. You can always see the key name. So test public IP. I'm just gonna copy this. And now, as for user, now for Amazon EC2, basically it follows. I'll erase this for now. But basically, for Ubuntu virtual machines (VMs), the user is Ubuntu. For Amazon, it's EC2 user, I believe. And for Red Hat, it could be root. I don't know. I'm not really sure about Red Hat, but for our VM, since we're using Ubuntu, the user is Ubuntu. So what we want to do is we're going to SSH into the virtual machine. So you're going to do Ubuntu at the public IP or the public DNS. So once that's done, you can see SSH-I test tutorial.pem Ubuntu at the public IP. So you just press enter, and I'm gonna say yes. Public. Oh, okay. Permissions 0440 test tutorial.pem are to open. Now this is a problem that I get a lot, and the reason being is that such a bad, it's a Windows issue. Okay, so the problem seems to be that I have to change the file's ownership to users so that I can change that group permission. And let's try this again, where I see chmod 400 test tutorial, and then let's see if I can SSH back to it. Ubuntu server. Hopefully it works. Now what I just did was I used chown, which means change ownership of the file testtutorial.pem to users, and then afterwards I change the permissions, which is mod 400. 400 means that I can write and read it, and that groups and users, well, groups and users 00. Testtutorial.pem. So yes, it does work. Now I'm finally into the Ubuntu web server virtual machine, and now at least you know you can SSH. But to finish the job, we want to install some things for the web server. Now you want to use the command sudo apt-get install. So we want Apache 2, then we want lib to Apache 2 -mod -php 5, which is the Apache 2 module for PHP 5. We want MySQL, I think it's called. Just MySQL, is it? Yeah, it probably is. Then it could be PHP -mod. Now, I wrote a list of this, let's see. Yep, MySQL-server is a necessary library. PHP 5 -mod. I always seem to forget these library names. A misspelling could drive me insane. So PHP 5 and PHP 5 MySQL. Okay, PHP 5. Oh yeah, and we forgot PHP 5. Okay, so I'll explain. Now sudo is a super user. Use apt-get install, which basically installs the following libraries into your Ubuntu virtual machine. Apache 2 is the web server. The library Apache 2 that connects with PHP 5 requires this a little bit. MySQL-server will be your your database, SQL database. PHP 5 MySQL will be the connection between PHP 5 and MySQL, and then PHP 5 is just PHP 5, the scripting language to communicate with your SQL. So you just press enter. It's gonna take 121 megabytes, but remember you have 8 gigabytes on this free tier Ubuntu web server. Okay, yeah. So what just happened is the order is kind of bad. Or actually, it seems that I need an update before doing this. So I'll do sudo apt-get space update like this, and then press enter. Now this can take a little while to download completely, but just gonna okay. Just gonna wait until it updates all the packages on this Ubuntu. Okay, it's done. Whoa. So now let's just try again. Whenever you press up, you go to the last command if you didn't know what I was doing. Then you press enter. Yes. Okay, now for the MySQL, you need to insert a password for the root user. Now the user will be root. Password has to be something. Now you can type any password. I'm just going to type a password, press enter. Repeat the password, press enter. So right now it's just installing all the dependencies, everything related for MySQL to work. Currently it's on the MySQL part of it. Now PHP 5 and the libraries. So you just have to wait until it finishes. Okay. So just a little bit more. Using unique option. Full name instead. Interesting. Okay, start running. Process. Okay, so for now, I'll just look back at here. So, if you look closely, you always have instant ID availability where it is, running, status checks, public DNS, monitoring, and when it was created. Okay, so now that it's done, it's restarting web server Apache. Now what I like to do is I restart Apache just one more time, because I've come across an error where Apache was the only thing that was wrong and I couldn't proceed further. So you just need to do type service Apache 2 restart to restart Apache 2 to make sure that everything will be working properly. Oh, okay, there's a fail. So service Apache 2 restart. So I just had the simplest error. I did not sudo. I totally forgot. Such a simple mistake, but basically, since I wasn't on the super user, I could not restart Apache 2. There was no issue with upgrading, updating. So once you sudo service Apache 2 restart, you should now finish installation of SQL. Now this isn't necessary, but I've learned too that it's always useful to do this. MySQL setup, you will enter the current password, which was the password that you entered when you first began SQL. Then you press enter. Then change the root password, yes. New password, I'll just set it honestly to the same one. And now remove anonymous users. Yes. Disallow root login remotely, yes. Remove test database and access to it, yes. And reload privilege tables now, yes. And now the setup is complete and all done. Your SQL installation should be secure. And now we, like I said, I always like to restart Apache 2. Restart that, sudo service Apache 2 restart. And now let us see if we can log in to SQL by doing MySQL-u root-p. Now you press enter, you can enter that password, and you're into SQL. Now that's good. You can just type exit to exit. Now you have a SQL, MySQL running on your EC2. And lastly, now you can also, if you want, you can install something like PHP myadmin, which is just sudo apt-get install PHP myadmin. If you want that little GUI for the PHP communication with SQL. But for the final check, we want to go back to these instances, and we want to copy that link of the public DNS. You just copy it, and then if you go to the site, it says it works. This is the default web page for this server. So things should be working. And now to add, if you want to add some files onto that page, you just go to var/ww. Oops, ls. Yep. So basically, all that's on the var/ww is index.html, as you can see. And then you can use a text editor like Vim, Nano, or Emacs to change the index.html. You can say like instead of it works, I'll just insert changing a read-only file. So permissions are not to our authority. So let's just sudo vim this. So now I should be able to, because now I'm on the super user. Yes, I am. I'll change this to hello world, and then I'll save it by :x, and if we refresh the page, it changed to hello world. Now that's the basic bare minimum functionality of an EC2 instance installing PHP web server, and that's it. yeah, so you have SQL, you have PHP, Apache 2's working, and you know how to customize the website index.html. So www would be the folder in which you would put all the contents of your website if you were communicating with a server. And that's why I showed you all of it. It's a little thing that I wish was a really great in-depth video, but at the time when I was learning EC2 instances, there wasn't really a great video, or I couldn't find it easily. It wasn't on the top of the search box on YouTube. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you know how to set up Amazon EC2 service. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.